All right, let's talk about a huge shift that's happening right now in the world of cyber threats. The old playbook of attackers just smashing down the digital door, well, that's pretty much over. There's a new kind of adversary out there, and to defend against it, we need a whole new strategy. So, let's get right into it.
You see, the biggest threat we're facing today isn't really the burglar anymore. It's the squatter. Attackers aren't just focused on a quick smash and grab. They've evolved into what some of the latest research is calling the digital parasite. And it's exactly what it sounds like. An entity that's designed to move in, live inside your systems, and basically become a part of the furniture.
And this quote from the Picus Red report just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures this massive change. We're moving from loud, obvious attacks to silent, long-term persistence. The new goal for them isn't just to get in, it's to inhabit the host, feed on its identity, use its own infrastructure against it, all while staying completely invisible. Now look, this isn't just some theory or a hunch. The data is telling us a very clear story. We are witnessing a major strategic pivot in how attackers operate, and honestly, the numbers are pretty startling. This number right here says so much. We've seen a massive 38% drop in the use of data encrypted for impact. That's your classic noisy ransomware attack that locks up all your files, right? So, if they're not doing that as much, what exactly are they doing instead?
Well, they're trading in all that noise for stealth. This huge drop in ransomware lines up perfectly with a massive surge in techniques that are all about evasion and long-term persistence. It's really a fundamental change in their business model. They're moving from loud extortion to quiet long-term espionage.
So how do they actually pull this off? Well, they're using clever techniques like process injection, which lets them hide their malicious code inside applications you already trust. They're deploying malware that's smart enough to know when it's being watched in a security sandbox, so it just plays dead. They're even routing their command and control traffic through legitimate services like AWS and OpenAI, so it just blends in with all your normal traffic. And maybe most importantly, they're weaponizing stolen credentials to just walk right in the front door.
And this right here, this is the million-dollar question for every CISO, for every security leader out there. If the very nature of the attack has changed so drastically, then sticking with our old, static defenses is frankly just a recipe for disaster. We have to adapt. So, where do we even begin?
We start with a proven blueprint. Thankfully, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The Center for Internet Security, or CIS controls, is the globally recognized framework for building a modern, resilient defense that can actually stand up to this new parasitic threat.
Now, for anyone who's not familiar, CIS is a nonprofit that brings together this global community of security experts to create a prioritized, actionable set of best practices. And the keyword there is actionable. This isn't just theory. It's a practical guide built by people in the trenches, for people in the trenches, to defend against what's really happening out there.
What's really brilliant about it is how adaptable it is. CIS uses something called implementation groups, or IGs. It's not a one-size-fits-all t-shirt. So whether you're a small business that just needs the essential cyber hygiene, that's IG1, or you're a huge enterprise with super high-risk data, that's IG3, the framework scales to fit your actual needs and your resources.
So let's take a quick look at the foundation. We're talking about the absolute must-haves here. Things like knowing what software is actually running on your network, having strong malware defenses, making sure your systems are configured securely, and of course, protecting your data. These are really the non-negotiables for any modern security posture.
Okay, so we have the blueprint, right? We have the CIS controls. But, a blueprint is totally useless if you don't have the right tools to actually build the structure. So now, let's look at how we can bring these controls to life.
And here's the crucial part. You don't need a dozen different tools from a dozen different vendors. A modern, unified endpoint protection platform, an EPP, is specifically designed to be the enforcement engine for this CIS blueprint. It gives you all these different layers of defense, all in a single manageable agent. First up is a feature that's a real game changer, adaptive protection. This isn't just about blocking files we know are bad. It intelligently analyzes how trusted applications, like PowerShell for instance, are being used in your environment, and it automatically restricts any risky behaviors. This directly shuts down those living off the land tactics we were just talking about.
So where does this fit in our CIS blueprint? It's a perfect match. By hardening those applications you trust, adaptive protection directly enforces CIS Control 4, which is all about secure configurations, and it adds a really advanced layer to Control 10, malware defenses.
Next up, we've got the Host Intrusion Prevention System, or HIPS. The best way to think about this is like a network-level bodyguard that lives right on your endpoint. It actually inspects the network traffic before it can even be written to a file or run, which means it can stop things like browser exploits and other network attacks cold.
And this maps perfectly to CIS Control 9. It gives you that critical, proactive protection for what is, for most users, their main interface with the outside world, their web browser.
Then there's Application and Device Control, or ADC. This gives you incredibly granular power to lock down the endpoint. You can define exactly what software is allowed to run, which stops unauthorized scripts in their tracks. And you can control the physical hardware, like blocking unknown USB drives to prevent data from just walking out the door.
This is a really powerful one-two punch. ADC helps you enforce Control 2 by making sure only approved software is running, and it nails Control 3 by giving you direct command over how data can leave a device.
So let's pull it all together for a second. This table gives you a super clear, at-a-glance view of how a really comprehensive security stack lines up directly with the CIS framework. You've got everything from host integrity checking the health of a machine to memory exploit mitigation stopping fileless attacks. Each one of these features is a critical building block for a hardened, compliant security posture.
So we have the framework and we have the tools, we're done, right? Well, not quite. The final and honestly probably the most important step here is a shift in our mindset.
If there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. You can no longer set and forget your defenses. It just doesn't work. Against a digital parasite that's constantly adapting and hiding inside your own systems, real resilience only comes from continuously validating your controls. You have to start operating with the assumption that the adversary is already inside and then constantly test your ability to actually find them.
And that really leaves us with one final critical question that we all need to be thinking about. It's not about how high your walls are anymore. It's about whether you can find the threat that has already picked the lock and is now living silently inside those walls. Are you truly validated?
If you're ready to make that shift from just assuming you're protected to actually proving you're resilient, we're here to help you get started. Thanks so much for your time today.